know of any accounting firms that you think are reputable, send that information to me. The search continues.
Well, there are several in the Madison area that are reputable firms that could be contacted, so.
Do you have names?
Well, I have some names, yeah, I'll give them to you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I do have some names, because it was part of my item where I was looking for a forensic accountant. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Right. That takes care of 11. That takes care of 11. So now we move on to 12. Report and action on solicitation and contracting with a clerk for temporary in-person clerk services by trustee Uminowicz.
You got it.
I'll give it. It'll take 2 or 3 meetings.
I got 2 excellent recommendations for possible temporary clerking. They both are extremely busy and can't make that commitment, which was heartbreaking. However, one, Melinda Jones, who is she's a retired clerk from Richland Center, is just like, I can give counsel, I can give you direction on stuff, but she does not have the time to commit to saying, I can do this for you every week, I can do this for you every week. So the search continues. She suggested to me that we should be posting an ad with the Wisconsin Clerks Association. So I think that will pull together. I guess I need to know how, is that something that we need to come to committee, personnel committee to pull together a job description? I mean, I'm not sure what's the
Well, the problem
protocol.
with that is we have to wait until after the May organizational meeting to have a new committee. And I don't think we want to wait that long.
Right.
So if we can do it as a board, we should do it. Did you have anything else?
I also have reached out to the clerks at Spring Green, Village of Spring Green and Village of Black Earth, and left a message with the Village of Mazo, asking those clerks to just think about all the people they know and just spread the word. So just try and do a little bit of a reach out to the people that you work with, see who might be available to help. I also learned that we have something called a civic system, which is what our payroll is on. So that's a different system than what other people may use in their offices. So we may need to be asking, well, I don't know, if we have somebody interested, we'll help them learn how to use the system. I wouldn't want to turn them away if they didn't know how to use the civic system. But that was what Jay from Johnson Block said was our system.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
So,
Because I've been asked what our system is, and I didn't know.
Yeah,
So, all right. Anything else?
no.
Well, I have a couple things on that. I talked to a former clerk treasurer here some number of years ago, Pat Lefker, and she would be willing to do something for us part-time, but only in the area of helping to get somebody else going and maybe doing payroll if she was familiar with the system. And I said, well, payroll needs to be out on Thursday, and that didn't seem to bother her, but we'd have to decide whether we wanted to do that. I also talked to a clerk, another one, the same one that's going to the meeting tomorrow, and she would be willing to work. She works full-time, but she would be willing to come in on Saturdays and help us. But that really isn't enough to do what we want to accomplish either. So we just have to decide what the best way is. The other thought I had on it was a temporary service. And I did touch base with a temporary service in Madison who said that she would review the people they have available and see if they had somebody that would fill in, would fit in here as far as doing both the accounting part of it and the clerk part of it, because typically they have either clerks or accountants, they don't have both. So she's supposed to get back to me But that would be a more expensive way to go because they typically add 50% of the pay. And, you know, if you give somebody $20 an hour, they would charge $30 an hour for that service. So, but for a short term, if we didn't have anything else, any other choice, it was something that we could consider. And that would probably be more immediate because she might send whoever she had available, so.
Zach had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zach. I didn't see it.
MSA does offer interim administrator services. So in the case if you could find a temporary clerk who could do like the day-to-day operations, he could potentially help like the financial side of things. I can check to see what kind of availability you have and exactly what services those are in mind. I was just texting my boss just to confirm that we do offer those types of things. So I can get back to you on that probably pretty shortly this week.
Would appreciate that, yes.
The idea of Pat left her. Isn't she a little more immediate? Because she's already said that Thursday didn't seem that bad.
Well,
What's your thought?
it was hard to pin her down exactly on what amount of time she would be available. She's, you know, she's older person, and I don't want to mean that derogatory, but she's in probably her mid to upper 70s, so she doesn't want to work a lot.
I got you.
Yeah.
How about a combination of the two, Pat, and then the other gal, that can only work Saturdays, maybe a combination of the two, to get the essentials taken care of that need to be done.
Yeah, unless they can be in the office at the same time, that's pretty cumbersome to know. Yes, Taylor.
But in the intermediate time, they're not going to have access to the office, right? So you're going to need an accounting firm that's going to be able to run payroll separately using their systems. And then when you hire a permanent clerk, come in and reconcile things, I imagine. So I don't know that a temporary clerk could run payroll and do the withholding and stuff that needs to be done. I think you'd have to go through a service, and then they'd have to run it on their systems and then reconcile it later if the clerk's office is locked down.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to that part of it. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on this item? So,
I'm worried about payroll that has to be run this week.
that's
and
right,
how we're
Thursday
gonna
is
do that.
payday. Yeah. And it's all on the computer. There's not even physical time cards, so it's all on the computer. So we'll carry on as quickly as we can with that, and we may have to have another special meeting in order to get it done.
Keep me those accounting firms,
Okay.
because it sounds like we need to get them in place.
I actually have the list with me. I'll just get it after the meeting. Okay. All right. Any more on that item for right now? We should be on number 13 then. Report on notification of People's Community Bank of clerk vacancy and change of village authorized signatures by acting village president Wilkinson. So I talked to Derek Trammell at the bank, People's Community Bank, and when I talked to him on Wednesday, April 16th, he told me that Deneen, before she left, put a hold on all of the accounts, except that the Public Works credit card still works, and the utilities are on auto ACH payment, and they still will be paid. And I talked to Rich about the credit card, and he does need to have that because they have to get supplies and items. So I think that's probably a good thing. Also, I asked Derek about ACH incoming, and he wasn't sure about that, and I actually even talked to the ACH expert, and she wasn't sure about it. But I have since then talked to a couple people that have their sewer and water bills paid by ACH, and they have gone through, and they have been paid. Now, I haven't verified with the bank that they showed up in our account, but, which I need to do, but they are working. So,
So what accounts are put on hold then?
well, everything, nobody can write any checks, nobody can send any ACH payments, everything is on hold.
Okay.
The only thing is that the Public Works Department can still use their credit card.
Okay, did they say how that only be used, the process for that would look like?
Well, we have to have a clerk that signs the signature papers at the bank, and then also, for now, I will sign the signature papers, and then we can go forward from that.
And plus we get wise on how we do that.
Well, that's how it's done, yeah. But the board would have to authorize that, and we have to have something printed, minutes or special order that we can take to the bank and they can keep on their records, at their records. And you had a question?
I have kind of a stupid question. Why would she put the accounts on hold before the others ever quit? I mean, how could anybody run the
Well,
government?
she obviously knew that she was gonna resign, so, and
But,
that was actually a good thing. that
It
she-
kept other
Okay.
people from saying,
oh, okay.
It was more of a protect herself is what she did,
I think so.
but she shouldn't have been able to do it. It was more, it was protect herself.
Is it wrong that it normally would have been a board decision to do that? Oh, no.
Well, I think the bank is gonna hear the clerk say, don't let any more funds out, and they're
I mean,
gonna,
that's a safe thing to be
Yeah,
hearing,
yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
all right, any questions on any of that? So number 14, report on termination of village attorney Paul Johnson with Boardman Clark by trustee Hipsky.
Yep, so I called and that had been terminated, so.
What was the reason to terminate the village attorney?
I know from my end of it, just no confidence going forward, just with how things were handled for encouraging closed sessions, for open meetings and things. It just, I heard many of our previous trustees say often that I'm doing what our attorney has asked us to do, and knowing that these things were not by statute, it just, I know my vote on it was, we need a clean slate.
Matthew, at that time, I sat in the audience, and when I heard some of the things that the attorney recommended that the board do, I questioned his judgment on those.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wanted to be specifically clear as to why it is this
Yeah.
village board made the decision to terminate the contract with the village attorney, partially because Stacy inquired, but also it's one of the questions I had since I was not here last week. Not having confidence in the attorney makes sense if that's how the board felt. Trusting everything that former trustees may have told you about what the attorney told us, there was never evidence provided of those statements, at least not that I'd seen, that the village attorney said this had to be done this way. It was trustees making that statement. And if we're trusting them, then sure, the village attorney did it, but without evidence, it's hard to say for sure.
Understandable. Any other discussion on that? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just don't feel that someone should be fired because of whatever that reason was. I mean, did he break the law? Should we be suing him and taking away his license? You know, I mean,
Well, but
I don't
confidence,
know.
confidence
And
in,
for for Joe and Don, who literally just got signed in, have you ever met him? Have you had any experience with him? I mean, I don't understand how you voted yes to remove somebody that you've never met or dealt with. That's just what I feel about it.
But it's really important that the board have full confidence in their attorney. It's vitally important.
So, we filed an open meetings complaint against all of the members of the former board, barring Becca Raven and Matthew, because they had voted against closed meetings. But we filed that open meetings complaint against the board because they held 5 meetings plus, 4 meetings plus at least 2 walking forums, and at least the 4 closed meetings were all illegal, I mean, blatantly illegal. And I came to the meeting, the first one, on April 14th, and just said, you know, I shared actually a memo that our legal editor had put together, who is a practicing attorney, who has a lot of experience with open meetings law, and I shared with them exactly how they were breaking open meetings law. And Paul Johnson was right here, sitting right here. And I even joked, I said, Paul, I'm not serving them a lawsuit, it was just a memo. And I passed it around the table, and none of the trustees read it. Well, I guess Kristen Shea did look at it, and these 2 trustees did look at it. Or maybe, I think Matthew maybe wasn't at that first one, I'm not sure. But, and Paul Johnson had it in front of him, didn't read it, and then advised them to go into closed session anyway. Over the next 3 meetings, and this was all fire and EMS, this is all stuff that they had previously talked about in open session. And they didn't have a specific reason to go into closed session. Over the next 3 meetings, they didn't change the agenda at all, the notice at all, and they illegally went into closed session again. Then that's 4 meetings in a row where the board went into closed session that should have been open, where the public was deprived of open information, open discussions. I mean, that alone is bad. Plus some of his other advice. I mean, our legal editor, he said if he was the new municipal attorney, which obviously he won't be, but if he was a new municipal attorney, the first order of business he'd say is ask for a refund from this guy. And then if he doesn't give a refund, sue for a refund because he broke his fiduciary duty to the village by giving such poor advice, consistently poor advice. I mean, the amount of times that they have broken the law on his advice, and again, I like you echo what Matthew had said, this is half the time it's coming from trustees saying, oh, the attorney told us this. So I can't speak as to if his advice was poor 100% of the time or just 50% of the time, but from the instances where he did provide advice, it was very poor and very expensive. So,
Thank you, Jerry. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Report on contracting with Alec Exley Rindleson, LLP, as village attorney by trustee Hiskey.
Yep, so I contacted him, and he said that if asked him to do that, and he sent me a couple pages here that we have to sign in order to actually engage with them in services. We talked about a price point we wanted to contract with them for, and they fell within that price range. I think we agreed on $400 an hour, no more than that. And they had said for what we would need, they would probably charge $273 an hour for any services they would fit under. So I thought that was, given, it was pretty reasonable. So if we do wish to engage with them, we'll have to sign their, what's it called? Engagement agreement for legal services. If you're sent back, that's as far as I got.
Okay,
They're aware that we wish to engage with them, so.
all right. Do we have any discussion on that?
Were there any other firms discussed or researched instead of this one?
I mean, this was not the only one.
And I don't have a problem with actually Brynolson. They were I believe they were the village attorneys prior to Boardman Clark. And we had a very good relationship with Bill Cole. I just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to find an attorney that's going to represent the village the best. I think Bill Cole, if he's the person that ends up representing us, would do that. I think very highly of him professionally. But I also am concerned about the amount of money that was spent last year for attorney's fees and how that could figure into this year, changing firms. So I guess part of that question would be, is actually more expensive, or is it roughly the same price as what we were paying Boardman Clark?
I guess I don't know the price point. Does that mean the price point we were paying?
Yeah, we don't have access to,
It's 400.
It was 400 now.
400.
So this is considerably more affordable. But
Yeah, and like I said, I have no issue with Axley. I just want to make sure that we are being responsible with taxpayer dollars and hiring a new firm.
sure. Yeah, I think the reason I went with these guys is because they came highly recommended. Is there any other firm that you would?
No, I try to stay away from lawyers. But as I said, I believe this is the firm we worked with previously, and Bill Cole was our attorney then. He was excellent to work with.
I know that the fact that actually, I think they do Black Earth, they do Mazo, I think they do many of the village municipalities. So there's a sense of, I'm sorry?
They do the city of Winona too.
City of, there was a sense of, oh, these people are municipality attorneys. Because I think the law, being experts in that area is what we're looking for. So,
in order to sign this paper, perhaps it's in order to have another motion to either approve or not approve this firm for attorney. So if somebody's prepared to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to contract with Axley Brynolson LLP for the village's attorney.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Schrader. Did I get it right this time?
Yep.
Good. And second by Holt.
Help.
I'm not batting 100 yet. Help. Any further discussions? We want to do a roll call vote, or?
Sure, roll call. Trigger.
Aye.
Tell.
Aye.
Yes.
I,
Wilkinson.
Aye.
Dipsky. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to number 16, report on contracting with a forensic auditing firm to audit a subset of sewer water accounts within the tenure of the former clerk's employment and all village accounts from March 1st, 2025 through April 17th, 2025, both seeking a determination by acting village president Wilkinson. So I have contacted a couple different auditing firms that will do forensic audit. I have a company, VC3 is the name of it. No, that's not it either. Right, no.
Is it Digital Forensics Corporation?
Yeah, that's it. Here we go. Forensic Accounting Corporation, FAC, that's it. Forensic Accounting Corporation. And they do their forensic accounting in two phases. The first phase is the fact-finding part of the investigation, and their fee for doing phase one is $8,000 for one person that can take up to 60 days to do that phase one. If we want it faster, they will do it with two people, and it'll cost $16,000, and they'll get it done in 30 days. Or we can do it with three people and get it done as quickly as possible for $24,000. And that's phase one. Now, phase two would be the drafting of their opinions and possible testifying if there was a court action. Those kind of things are extra charge, but they won't know them until we find out what the results of phase one is.
Ask a question?
Yes.
The $8,000 for the phase one, is that the quote for what we're asking we want them to deep dive into? Or was
That's
that a
the
general?
beginning of what we want. Yes, that's the beginning. If they found nothing in phase one, then we wouldn't go any further.
Right. That would be great.
If they find something that we would want to continue to investigate and whatever action that we would take after that, then that would cost more. And then I also talked to another firm, SVA, which is in Madison, but it would be their Milwaukee headquarters that would cover this. And I have a video conference set up for tomorrow afternoon with their firm. The person I talked to, John Armstrong, said that typically an investigation like we're talking about, forensic accounting like we're talking about, would be between $10,000 and $20,000 typically. But they want to get more information, and some of the stuff I was able to get today, and so I think I'll be able to get a better number tomorrow, but tomorrow's not tonight, so.
So I would just caution, I mean, from the estimate that I saw that you sent me, Steve,
Yeah,
that's only for one, not for both.
right, and then
So
each
you'd be
one is
doubling the
separate.
cost
Right,
for
that's
that.
right, that's
So
correct.
you're looking at $16,000 minimum, or 32 or 48, because you want to have 2 forensic investigations done. We would have to figure out where that money is coming from.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know where the money is in those accounts, but I would think that we have to have a very good reason to do this right now, given that we haven't set any money aside for it, just given the prices of them.
My understanding, does this hinder our ability to get a new clerk, ensuring that we have clean books when they come in? That was one of the reasons we wanted to get this done. Is that correct?
That is one of the reasons, that's correct.
Okay. In that regard, then, do we have a timeline that if we're looking for a clerk, and it is important that we have a clerk, that we need to get this done in? Or, because 60 days seems like a pretty long time to have not had be in limbo, kind of.
Well, I believe that as long as the clerk is confident that we'll either find clear books or correct them, then that person would probably move forward with us, yes.
Okay.
And then to be able to decide where we can pull the money from to cover the forensic audit, Matthew, would that just be us looking at the financial record?
Yeah.
Because I can share those with everyone.
You're going to have to identify the account in which this is going to come from, whether it's your general funds or a capital fund somewhere. But that, like, capital funds have been set there.
Our emergency meeting of April 15th and other items that we have for action tonight. So we'll ask for a roll call. We have Hipsky.
Here.
Schrader, I'm sorry.
Here.
Helt
Here?
and Unovich.
Here.
Is that close?
Humanowitz. It's actually phonetic. Humanowitz.
Unovich. All right, I'll try to remember that. All right, so, and Wilkinson is here. So we're all present. We need to appoint a clerk pro tem for this meeting.
I motion to appoint Joe Hipsky as our clerk pro tem for our special board meeting on Village of Arena on April 21st, 2025.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Minovich and
She'll correct you, Steve, you don't
You're
worry about that.
Becker. Second by Holt. Do we have any further discussion? Do we need a roll call vote for this?
Roll call vote.
All right, Schrader?
Aye.
Okay. Belt?
Aye.
Humanowitz?
Aye.
Steve?
Wilkinson, yeah.
Sorry.
Aye.
Okay.
Hipsky?
Tipsky, aye.
All right, so the motion carries. Certification of legally posted special meeting notice?
I certify that I posted this meeting, is that direct a motion for it, or can I just?
No, you
report?
just do it, yep.
That I posted the meeting to the Iowa County Clerk. She responded back, received in an email, and also to all of the trustees sitting at the table here. I sent it out by email. I posted it to the Valley Sentinel and to the Independent Star News, and I also posted it, as you saw when you came in, to the Arena Village Hall, to the Crappie Shop, the Arena Post Office, and Arena BP.
All
And that
right.
was done on Saturday.
On Saturday, so we have our 24-hour legal notice. All right, thank you. Our approval of the agenda is the next item. I make a motion.
I make a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Hipsky, second by Holt. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 6 is consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda will be approved in one motion without discussion unless any board member requests that an item be removed for individual discussion. Do we have a motion of any kind?
I motion to approve the minutes from the April 15th emergency special board meeting for the Village of Arena. I motion for the minutes to be approved.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by Uminowicz. Is that close or
You're
not?
good, it's better if you just say it.
Then second by Holt. Helt, to approve the minutes from April 15th, 2025 emergency special board meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So now we'll move to item B under 6, reaffirmation of the actions, delegations, and orders of the board during the April 15th, 2025 emergency special board meeting at this duly 24-hour notice meeting. Do we need to make a motion on that?
Yes. So I motion to reaffirm the actions, delegations, and orders of the board during the April 15th, 2025 emergency special board meeting.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Uminowicz
That was good.
to reaffirm the actions of the delegations and orders of the board during the April 15th, 2025 emergency special board meeting at this duly 24-hour noticed meeting. We had a second by, was it Hipsky? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 7 is public comment. Public comment will be permitted, but will be limited to items listed on the agenda and directly relevant to the special purpose of this meeting, consistent with Wisconsin Statute 19.84 sub 2. Broader public input is welcomed at future regular notice meetings. And And our next regular board meeting is May 6th at 7 p.m. So that would be where that public comment would be welcome. Any public comment for tonight? Paul?
I do. It pertains to agenda item 19, the one as far as letting people know about village activities. I got this information from Ann actually yesterday. Was it yesterday? YouTube analytics show the candidate form is still getting clicks. The most recent was yesterday, and a total of 463 clicks have been logged. They're coming from YouTube clicks, not eye contact clicks. Over 50% opened yesterday's news update from eye contact. ACT has a Facebook page, and the agendas and everything have been posted to the ACT Facebook page and the eye contact page. And the ACT has a meeting next Tuesday, last Tuesday of every month, as everybody knows, as a precursor actually to the board meeting. So I guess my public comment is that you would consider using ACT as an avenue to get the news of village activities out there.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Any other public comment? Yes.
I have a question then. Are the meetings recorded and is that sent to, it's called Independent Star now, so that we get in that paper?
Yes, the minutes, the announcements of the meeting are sent to them, and I don't know that the minutes are though. I'm not sure of that.
Can I ask Paul to comment on that?
They are.
Because we used to have a reporter that would come, and I don't know if they do that anymore, of course, with that one.
You send all the recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He
think,
sends all the
I
recordings to
think
people.
the Independent Star News, because it's just so newly transitioned, that they're kind of probably still working out what they're doing. Paul's always been very generous in making sure that both the Valley Sentinel and the Independent, the home news, and now the Independent Star News are getting, it's Linda Swanky, who we work with, that they're getting the recording as well as the notice.
Okay,
Thank you,
just
Paul.
curious. Thanks.
Any other public comments?
I have a question, and I don't know if this will be addressed on number 14, termination of the village attorney, if that's going to be discussed as to why he was terminated.
I don't know what the discussion will be yet, but there's a public comment period at the end of the agenda too, so you're welcome to comment at that time if you'd like.
Oh, thank you.
All right, any others? All right, we'll move on. Number 8, report on clerk's office village records lockdown and chain of custody by acting village president Wilkinson. The next day after our regular meeting, or our emergency meeting, which was on Tuesday, so that would be Wednesday, I called Sheriff Peterson, and he was not very cooperative. He said that they didn't have a legal basis for locking down the office, and he wasn't concerned about the chain of custody. He suggested that we change the lock and post it on the door that nobody should enter. And so I did go ahead and arrange to have Ray Johnson from Dory Hardware in Spring Green come. We came here on Thursday evening when he got home from work so he could see the lock, and then he came back again on Friday at 2 p.m. and we changed the lock on the clerk's office door, rekeyed the lock on the clerk's office door, and also disabled the keypad so that the keypad won't work for right now. And that was at 2 p.m. on Friday afternoon, 4/19. We had Officer Benish from the Sheriff's Department here while we did it so that she could see that we weren't tampering with anything inside the office. Also, about 2:45 p.m., Detective Sergeant Bowers came to relieve Officer Benish, but we were done by that time. So we had the sheriff's department here for that. And I think that takes care of that part of it, so. Any questions on that?
So who has the key then for the new lock?
I have the key.
Okay.
And the key for the door, is that still the same code, or is that a different code now?
The entrance door to the
Right.
building is the same code.
Okay, that's it.
That has not been changed. All the rest of them, I mean, there's a lot of door keypads, and none of the rest were changed.
Okay, so,
Just the office.
Yeah.
Okay.
The clerk's office. All right, let's move on to number 9 then, report on village account excess repatriation by acting village president Wilkinson and trustee Hipsky. So I'll start. I did talk to Jason from Computer Doctors at Richland Center, and he indicated that we could, he probably could change the password on the computer so that you couldn't have access remotely. But I tried to get a hold of him today to find out if he had gotten it done, and I couldn't get a hold of him, he wasn't available. So I don't know for sure that that's done. You go ahead.
sure. So I also contacted Jason, and we talked about the emails. We should all now officially have a @villagearena.net email. So if we want to use that for official business purposes, we should all have access to an official email. And if you help setting that up, I can help set that up for Don and Steve, if you help with that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So is that being used just on everybody's personal emails? Just that's the, I mean, it has to, or personal laptops be current computers. How does that work?
As far as like using.
Just staying connected, is that connected to this system then, but you're accessing it through personal?
So I guess I don't know where they host it at. I think the Computer Doc, or they host it, or they have a third party host that through Network Solutions. That's the website that hosts that email.
I'm just curious if it's going to like be within this system's public records, or is it still going to be within your personal
Right, I guess,
history?
I'm not sure about that. I know it should be the same as what the other, you and Matthew have, the
Okay.
same domain. So I didn't change that, but yeah, we should all have the same email now, so.
I think you have to help get these two set up in it,
Okay.
because I don't think you're using it yet, correct?
No, I'm not using it.
Okay, yeah.
The one thing that I understood from talking with Jason was that the transition was going to .gov from .net,
Yep.
and I understood that was for security reasons. So is this new setup that you've got going, is that equal as far as security goes? I mean,
So that would be the old system that it's on. So we're all on the old system right now. And he told me that Denise was working on getting us to a .gov domain. I don't know what that process is in, like, I don't know what step of the process they're in with that. He said it was through a company named VC3. I tried contacting them, they have not replied yet. So I'm not sure what the status of that was. Apparently they had a grant, which is why they're going that route. But he didn't know anything, and I'm still trying to contact the company to see what, where we're at on their end.
okay, all right. Well, we'll keep that in mind, that's our goal, is to get to the secure system.
Right.
So we're heading to that though.
Supposedly, I don't know, in whose court it's in right now. If it's in theirs or if it's ours. So, but yeah, I think I can continue to reach out and try to figure that out.
All right, does that take care of discussion on that item? Any other?
There was one other thing. I know if we're going to be transitioning, I don't know if we actually want to go to this VC3. If you want to explore other options like a Google domain or something like that. I don't know if you guys had any input on that at all.
I just don't have enough information to be able to have any input on it. Like, I don't know, do we get to do that as a municipality? I mean, do we, whatever,
What other rules? Yeah.
parameters? Matthew, can I ask if you have any thought on that in your experience? because you've been, on a board. And we've done this, and what are there rules that,
There's rules to everything.
yeah, so, and that's what I figured.
So, just to clarify, the previous board voted to apply for the VC3 grant, which also required us to commit X amount of dollars in the future. So, the plan was to switch over to that, have the domain switched from a .net to a .gov, because that's the route that would serve us best. At least in the short term. That was supposed to be a 3-year agreement. If something like Google Workspace wants to be discussed, we've already committed to spending this money, so we might want to, as a board, wait until after that 3 years, since we've already committed to it. That said, the data is all stored within Dropbox right now, or on a cloud server somewhere, or at least board members typically get it through Dropbox. I don't know where it's stored outside of that, if it's on like an internal server here, or if it's on a cloud somewhere that can be accessed.
Okay?
Nice.
Yes, Taylor.
Yeah, so I know the school district, the Valley School District uses Google Workspace, so they might be a good place to talk to. I think the provider likely doesn't matter because you're just switching the domain that you have over to whatever provider you want, whether it's Network Solutions or Google Workspace, things like that. But I know that the school district has used Google Workspace for years. But I did have, can I ask a question just regarding this larger agenda item that wasn't addressed? Regarding, okay. Have you guys collected the laptops from the old trustees or ensured that account access has been locked down to village resources yet?
The laptops, there are 2 in the village office, and I understand one of those is Kate's. I don't know who the other one is. And Melissa dropped hers off at the village shop, and Rich brought it over, and it's in the conference room. And that's all that I know. Yes, go ahead.
The other one in there is Brittany's.
It is Brittany's?
Yeah, after the meeting, I was talking to Janine, I saw Brittany drop hers off in there as well.
So we're still short. Kristen's in, right?
Kristen left hers here. I
Oh,
gave it to
okay.
Janine that evening.
All right, so that's probably the other one that's in there. So there should be 3 of them.
Did Deneen have one and then Kathy?
Kathy would, hers would, it appears to still be missing,
Okay.
and I don't know about Denise's, where hers is at. So we have to find those yet.
And then is the idea to work with IT to shut down account access?
Yes. Unless someone has a better idea. That's the only way I know how to do it, so, other than pull the plug on the computer.
Not a bad idea.
Do you think that we should do an inventory of these, get the one out of the conference room, check, as witnessed, what's in there, what do we have, what do we still need to get? Because I feel like we're still guessing a little bit.
Well, we don't know what's supposed to be in there.
I mean, by the laptops.
Oh, the
That
laptops.
we have all the laptops, because once we have them all, then we can have the computer folks, computer doctors do what they need to do, and then everybody can get their
Exactly.
computer. So is that an appropriate thing to do?
It is. I also mentioned to Detective Sergeant Bowers that we needed to recover those computers, and she suggested that we attempt to do that ourselves before the sheriff's department would get involved.
And how'd that go?
Well, I haven't done it yet, so.
Oh, I thought you contacted Kate already.
Well, I talked to Kate, but hers is already here, so. Hers is already here, so that's fine.
Right, so we'll just complete whatever we don't
Yeah,
have.
exactly. Any other discussion on that? All right. So that brings us to item 10, report on Village Hall office access by Acting Village President Wilkinson. identifying Village Hall clerk office activity from April 15th through April 21st. At that meeting, the emergency meeting that we had on April 15th, Rich Miley said that he had been in the office twice, and later I talked with him, and it was to drop off the mail. He had picked the mail out of the box out here on the sidewalk and put it in the office 2 times. Well, we'll talk about that after a bit, about the mail, but that was his reason for being in the office, and he didn't know of any other reason. So we do have security system here, and at some point, I think that we should get a member of the sheriff's department here and view the security system and see who has come and who has gone.
That's all.
I don't know if we need a motion for that, or if that's all covered over again.
Yeah, I don't know if we go out.
Maybe a motion, because we don't know, maybe best to do one, just so that we're covered. So I'll motion to coordinate with the sheriff's department to have a sheriff here when the security system video is reviewed, with all of us present, or with just you? I mean, I don't know, I guess we're still discussing. Would it be just with you and the sheriff? What were you envisioning?
I think that as long as the sheriff's officer is there, then one of us, or as many as wants, could be there. So,
Okay,
I'll second.
was that even clear?
no.
No. Let's, I don't have a date on that, but I motion to have our Steve Wilkinson as our president pro temp contact the sheriff's department and coordinate a time for a sheriff to meet him at the Village of Arena office to review the security video to make sure we know what activity occurred in this building between April 15th and April 21st.
Okay, and that would be the sheriff's deputy or officer, not the sheriff himself, so.
Yeah.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by that authorizes me to contact the sheriff's department and arrange a time for an officer to come and review the security footage and make a log of people that have come and left from the village office, especially the clerk's office, from the period of April 15th through present.
Okay.
Okay.
I said the 21st.
Okay, April 21st. Is that accurate? All right. And you seconded?
Yep, second.
Seconded by Joe. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Number 11 is report on contracting Johnson Block for temporary accounting, clerk, bookkeeping, payroll services by trustee Yuminovich.
So I reached out to Johnson Block and spoke to Jay, and I have Jay's last name. He's the person who was appointed to our account, and he said currently he does not have any staff that can step in to do any type of temporary accounting, clerk, bookkeeping, payroll services. He suggested that we find a temporary clerk. So it was kind of a dead end there. I have not had an opportunity to just reach out to any other accounting firm in the area. I did reach out to I might be getting ahead of myself. So I have not been able to reach out to any other accounting services. I welcome any suggestions. Please let me know if you know of other accounting firms that I should be looking into. So I kind of stalemate with them. They felt that they weren't all that concerned that they couldn't provide service to us because they felt like they needed to keep themselves slightly removed for their annual audit.
Okay, I have heard from two ex-clerks,
Is that the next place? Or do they have accounting firms?
well, maybe it fits into 12 better, but that the state has a department that will send a temporary person to help us in this situation where we have this kind of a situation. But I have not, neither knew the name of the department, and I've looked on the internet quite a bit and I can't find it. I did talk to a clerk that is going to go to a class in, I don't know where the class is at, but it's the, Municipal Clerks Association, or I'm not sure of the exact, I should have wrote that down. But there is an association of municipal clerks in Wisconsin, and they do training. And she had to go to the class tomorrow, and she was going to ask if anybody there knew what that department was. Matthew, have you ever heard of that before?
No.
No, I hadn't either before that, so.
Isn't it that League of Municipalities?
Well,
That is a resource for villages?
they are a resource, but I looked at their website and I didn't find anything that showed that they actually would send somebody here to help us. But, you know, I was looking in the middle of the night, so I haven't made the call to actually talk to them about it.
In theory, the board decided this needed to be done, but it's not going to be cheap to do this. If you're trying to give peace of mind to the new clerk that's coming in, I would question how doing a forensic audit is giving peace of mind to the new clerk coming in. Because if there's any chance that your books are wrong, I don't know why someone would want to jump into that.
I kind of think it's not, that's one of the reasons. I think we have residents who are not comfortable with how the finances have been managed, or have they been managed. I mean, I've been hearing about that for 5 years, that there's no confidence that the water and sewer was done right. Why were we being charged such high bills? You know, that there were all that kind of concern that didn't ever get answered in an appropriate way, to where the village residents felt like, oh, here was the glitch and this is how they fixed it. It was never solved. And so there's a lot of concern that some hanky-panky happened. We can't answer that unless it's looked at.
I don't disagree with you, but we have an annual audit done every year. Those audits have found no issues. Yeah, there have been issues with water bills, we were made aware of that. But no audit has ever caught any issues up to this point. All I'm saying is, to spend all this money, and you're saying you're trying to give peace of mind to a new clerk, I'm not sure anyone or any position that was previously or is under investigation is going to draw the best person to the job.
That might be so, Matthew, but, an audit that's done by Johnson Block, the annual audit, they only use the numbers that they're given by the clerk. And if the clerk makes, either accidentally or on purpose, makes some error in those numbers, that's never caught.
You're right. But those numbers are then reviewed, or should be reviewed by board members to make sure that they at least look correct.
Well, only on accounts where it's easy to do that, but like on water and sewer, it's not easy to, because you have to have the readings from the meters, and then that has to be changed into another system that my understanding is that our computer system doesn't take it automatically from one to the other, it has to be manually entered, and then it has to be manually billed. And I really think that, and I don't know what new systems are like, but I think we really have to investigate a way that those things are all done automatically and not manually entered in the future. But that's a future thing, it's not.
That might justify the water sewer forensic audit, but doing a forensic audit on finances from, I forget the dates.
May
Might
1st,
not be-
March 1st through April 17th.
Yeah, I mean, unless we have some belief, and obviously the board did, I just think that we're spending a lot of money for something that, or potentially spending a lot of money for something that we don't have any direct evidence that there was malfeasance or negligence or incompetence.
If we had direct evidence, we wouldn't need the audit.
You still would need the audit.
Well, we would need the audit to correct the books, but
Yeah. It concerns me that our clerk quit, like, didn't give notice, quit, gone. You know, didn't leave the board any guidance, anything. That's suspicious to me. It just is.
That's fine. I don't think it's that suspicious, given the clerk's seeming relationship with the past president and board members who are no longer on the board.
Exactly my concern.
well, like I say, we have a ways to go yet before we can pick somebody, if we pick somebody. So should we go ahead and continue in our investigation and what it's going to actually going to cost and make the decision at that time?
Absolutely, I think we definitely need to
Yeah.
proceed with yes, because there's just so many yellow markers out there, just a lot of suspicious things that just aren't adding up right.
Right. In the meantime, then we can look at our financials and see where that money is available from and what we have to do to pay a bill that size, which is a sizable cost. We have to really consider this seriously.
Absolutely. Steve, you feel, because I sent you financials and payroll, do you feel that those documents will be able to be used? Do we need to budget up? I mean, what is, what do you think?
Well, my plan for those documents was to send them to whoever was interested in seeing them as far as deciding what the audit would entail and what the cost of the audit would be. Because they kept asking me, well, how many customers do we have in the water and sewer, and how many accounts do you have? And I didn't have those answers. But I have that paperwork now from the April meeting that I can forward to them, and they can see what those numbers are anyway, and hopefully that will be enough for them to decide. Any other discussion on this? are we prepared to make a decision tonight, or do we need to work on more research?
I would argue you already made a decision. You made a motion to solicit and contract with a forensic auditing firm for no more than $500 an hour at the last meeting.
We did at that time, but there's nothing saying that we can't change our minds.
That's true, but you're either gonna raise that amount. The difficult thing with this estimate that I received from you, Steve, is that it doesn't list hours, it just lists days.
Right.
And it doesn't say how much that one person is going to be working on.
It did not, and I tried to pin them down on how much per hour they charged, and I could not get an answer. That's why I went ahead and,
Call some other places.
yeah.
I would think they could do that, give you an hourly rate. I feel a bit that the search continues to find a company that we're comfortable working with.
I think so. But it would mean another special meeting.
We gotta do to get it right. There's been enough things being wrong in this community for too darn long, it's time to get it straightened out.
Yeah, do you have something?
Well, I just want to let you know, you mentioned SBA accounting
SVA?
for forensic audit,
Uh-huh.
correct? Yeah, they have an office on Excelsior Drive, I believe, on the west side of Madison. They're a very reputable company.
Yes, I understand that too, but they would not handle this out of their Middleton office. They would.
They would,
handle
okay,
it out of
that
the Rocky
would, that
office.
would affect the cost, yeah.
Not sure how much it will. I don't know how much time they would actually spend in our,
But that they'd have to, yeah, okay.
So
yes,
at the last meeting, you approved for $500 an hour, which it seems to be a fairly good, I looked it up, it seems to be a decent going rate. The one forensic accounting corp, they just gave you that flat 8,000, that's 16 hours, and they're saying they'll work 16 hours based on what the board had previously budgeted for, as much as one can budget during an emergency meeting, but they're willing to work for 60 days. That seems interesting, a cap.
that's what didn't make sense to me. Why, how could they put the number on it without knowing how many hours they're gonna put in? They're not gonna work, 8 hours a day or 40 hours a week on that for that amount of money.
Was that a cap, or was that a retainer that they would prorate based on the work done?
That was their fee for that.
They were confident they could do determination in that time frame at that price.
That's what they said, yes. Well, for the phase one.
Correct.
Paul, did you have something?
I can say it now, or I can do it during public comment too, the last public comment. It's up to you guys. It's just about an audit. All right, I'll say it now. Okay. The biggest thing is, like, with the audit is, like, put out of everybody's minds that something went wrong, something is wrong. It's peace of mind. There have been questions, and you want to start with clean books. A good clerk coming in is going to want clean books. The budget, I'm going to bring up the budget recap, because I brought that up during finance. The budget recap that was published on the village website, what did I find? 11 errors. For example, December 31st in the general fund.
Yeah, Paul, we don't need to go through all that, we've heard.
Okay, that's fine, but that's, and then I asked finance committee members refused to answer yes or no questions when I asked about the budget recap, because they had no input on that at all. So, okay, that's enough then.
Thank you.
All right, so are we ready to make a decision or not?
Okay, what is the decision that you want us to make?
Well, we either wait and do some more investigation, or,
It seems we have three different options, right? I'm not saying right now.
Well, I guess the other thing is they're gonna have to have access to our records, right?
they will,
So, do you have access to the records now?
not right now. But we will have to get them, that's no doubt. Matthew, what do you think?
I mean, as I said, the board has already decided to move forward with this. Picking, if you go with the company that you have an estimate from, or if you wait, holding a meeting for, something that could be more expensive, or waiting to hold a meeting to make a decision on this, I don't know if it makes sense or not. The proposal, as I mentioned, that you sent me, is well laid out, explains exactly what they're gonna do. Doesn't give the per hour cost, but as we discussed, 60 days, no matter how many hours they do, is $8,000. 30 days, no matter how many hours they put in, it's 16,000. So I think if you're gonna make a decision, now is better than waiting for maybe the second offer. And it's nothing against SVA. I believe Ann when she says they're extremely reputable. But at the same time, I don't, the numbers you gave was it was going to be between 10 and 20,000. So if we're already looking at 8 to 16, it's well within that range.
That's right.
So, Matthew, are you saying that you are comfortable with either of the companies? And I think the one that you're referring to for the 8,000, is that Digital Forensics?
Forensic, AC, Forensic Accounting Corporation.
The email you sent me Steve, was for direct digital forensics corp.
Oh, is that what, okay, but it's Forensic Accounting Corporation, that's their name. Well, maybe not.
So what was your question again, Becca?
And it sounds like we're talking about two companies, and so I've got to like, which one are we're liking the $8,000 60-day thing, because it's pretty much telling us that the project completed within 60 days for this amount. That means whatever it takes, we like that, because otherwise it's 16 hours worth of work, and how are they actually, is it really only 16 hours? Maybe, but what if they need 22? It's $8,000.
Is that 60 days gonna be a problem now? The timeline, or?
I don't know how long it takes to do something. Do they take 60 days and it only takes them 28 days? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the cost is this. This is what it costs to get it done. Maybe that's the question we ask.
I feel like we need to get more answers, is what I feel like. I mean, I'm not comfortable going with either company right now.
So what more specifically would you ask them if we did hold another meeting and discuss again? What else would we look to bring to the table?
At that point, we can make a decision because we'll have more information.
Right.
Right, but what information would you
Well,
want to get?
A better understanding of what it's actually going to cost us. Because 16 hours in 60 days doesn't make sense to me, so.
Okay, they're pretty confident in that number, though.
Oh, yeah, they're confident.
Okay. Do you don't trust that number? That's what I've got.
They will find a way to charge more.
So their number's set in stone. So if we say we go for the 60-day audit, and it only takes them 30 days to do it, and they're still gonna charge us 24,000?
No,
Or the
that's
8,000?
not what it said. It just said that they have 60 days to do it.
And your concern is, what if they take 62, it's gonna cost us more?
No, I'm saying that they'll find a reason, some reason that what they're quoting doesn't match what their job is, so.
Guys, what would delaying a vote help in that regard? Because regardless of.
Well, it would give us time to investigate more.
Well, and you're wanting two different forensic audits, right? So maybe you should do forensic audit 1 and forensic audit 2. Because one might take 30 hours, the second one may take 10 hours.
Steve, yeah, that's a great point. And Steve, did you tell them everything you needed and they said it's just 8,000 total? They put two in one?
It's like two different jobs. The sewer and water audit is one, and the, all accounts from March 1st through April, whatever the date is, 18th or whatever it was another. So it's whatever their quote was, 8,000, like Matthew said, it's gonna be double that if we have to do both audits.
Okay.
It's like two separate audits.
If we were to explore this more, I guess that might be interesting to see if we could do just one at a time. I don't know if that's something we're interested in doing or not, but to see like if we did one and what that, resulted in, that's a possibility.
It would, but it wouldn't cost any less to do it that way. Because you're gonna pay.
Yeah, like you said, they're two different jobs. Yeah.
Do we have to call another special meeting? Couldn't we have this on the agenda for the regular meeting on May 6th?
If you want to wait that long to decide, yeah. That's what, another week and a half or something like that? 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Probably have been, I don't like that we're not comfortable with the information. And I feel like it's just like, we're just kind of like being forced without any of us forcing each other, but forced because, we feel the need to do this, but we're not so far getting the information that makes it clear on how we can do this. I think that's important. It's one of the things that I have felt as a trustee that there's just never been enough clear information about how we're moving forward. It would just be nice to understand it.
Well, the point that we don't have access to the computer and the records right now does lend itself to postponing the decision until May 6th.
And isn't it that we don't have access to that because we need the forensic audit people to have access to it, right? I mean, that's when, but we have to make sure that it's affordable, and we have to make sure where we're pulling the money from.
Exactly.
I feel like I need to make a motion to lay this on the table till we have more information, that we research these further, get more specific. I would think that they would understand that we would need more specific, outlay of what it is you're doing and what it is it's going to cost us before we make a decision on that. So I motion that we lay this on the table until the May 6th regular board meeting to come back with more information, more details, and address it then.
All right. Do we have a second to that?
I'll second that.
All right. Motion by Minowitz. Anyway, Becker, and Help. Second by Help.
Is there any discussion on that, or?
Yes, discussion.
The only thing I would ask is that if we did have information before that meeting, would it be possible to call another meeting just to get that ball going faster? Because I know that is something that we need to kind of get done, as fast as we can reasonably. So if it doesn't take us 2 weeks to get that information, we would meet maybe before that to,
I
Do some
think
back on
if 2 trustees will come together to call a special meeting, that can happen.
okay.
Okay. And then would somebody be willing to do the research on the financing of those audits?
Finding where the money could be pulled from. I am not the best person to do that because I don't understand those things. Matthew, I feel like you're better. Is there anything that, if you would be doing it, is there anything I can get you from my finance board stuff?
I would want access to our account records to see where the money actually is.
And would that be the reports, the finance reports?
I've got finance reports, and I'll be honest, I couldn't tell you where this money was gonna come from looking at them.
Would it be the budget that we
I've
passed?
got a budget, couldn't tell you where the money's gonna come from.
So where would we, this is the dilemma. Where do we look to find where we might tighten and shift?
Just being a numbers person, I thought that hedge fund that she set up Paul, wasn't it $350,000?
No, that was the general fund. It was 361,000. You talking about the general fund?
No, the 20% that we used to carry in case an emergency came up.
Yeah, the balance,
But she went up to 30%.
how could you do that? The board didn't approve that.
Well, she told me that's what it was at now. 29 point whatever.
Well, the general fund, at the end of the budget, the $361,000 in it. And then, so the policy was to keep cash on hand 20%. So you had 20% of that 361 would be kept as cash on hand, basically. There's money there. It's just, you're gonna have to start with the budget, and then you're gonna have to go through the last, I was gonna say 4 months, but it's now the end of April. You're gonna have to go, use the budget and go with the last 5 months of financials. But there's money there. But you're gonna have to do that.
And I'm sorry, where do we find that to be able to
We
scrutinize that?
start with, I don't know if she provided you, did she provide you with the last copy of the budget, Matthew?
She might have.
A revised budget?
I don't know for sure.
I asked for it, she gave me the revised budget, the last budget.
Yeah, I'm not sure that,
Did you get it?
I don't think I got the revised one, anything that was from that budget
that's-
meeting that we made.
When you made,
I don't-
final budget, because then the budget had to be revised, and she revised it, and I asked for that budget.
If it's on the,
Is not the budget on the website?
I was gonna say. it's
Yeah,
right.
that should be the revised budget. Yep. And then you'll have to go back 5 months through financials, and then you can you'll have a really, really good idea where the village is at.
Okay, so
So-
we have a motion in a second.
We do, but I've asked for somebody to volunteer to take care of that task, so.
I will help. I'm not the person to think that I will know what I'm looking at to be able to come up with the answer to this, but I'll help.
All right.
Matthew, would you be willing to do that, or is that something you're not comfortable with?
I don't think I have access to what I would feel that I need to be able to do that.
Okay, then we need to go outside of this, get some help. with this?
We have no access to our accounts, so how,
Well, from just the documents that we have, I'm just saying, we've got to be able to scrutinize this.
Oh, is it something that the bank would have that they could request, just a statement? Is that something that, or is that internal?
Kind of the monthly budget.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that easy to look at anymore.
well, we'll investigate it. We've got a motion by Becky Raven and second by Joe to wait until the May 6th meeting to make a final decision on this.
I hear the second by Don, but yeah.
Oh, it was, I'm sorry, Dan. May 6th meeting, and we'll bring it up again and talk about it some more. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We should be on 17 now, if I'm right. Discussion and action on any necessary legal notices, training, etc. Open book plan for Thursday, May 8th, 2025, from 10 a.m. till noon. Board of review Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Training for board of review will need to be taken by at least one member yearly. All right, I talked to the assessors, Barrett Brunner with Chimney Rock Appraisals, and he indicated to me that because this was a maintenance assessment this past year, so he didn't expect there would be a lot of complaints or a lot of people that come. But I did ask him about the notice needed and all of the specifics about the meeting. The May 8th open book can be noticed along with the board of review. The board of review legally has to be posted 15 days before the actual board of review. So it would have to be done by May 4th or 5th, something like that. He suggested that we look back and see if we can find an old notice that we have a form to go by when we notice this one. I asked him about the training. The training is received either from the Clerks Association, the League of Municipalities, or he thought the Department of Revenue also had training available. I asked him about how many people had to be there, and he said typically it's a committee, but it can be the entire board if you want it to be. So that was what I found out. And the board of review has to be done within 45 days of the fourth Monday of April. So we were well in, with the dates that have already been set, we're well within that margin. And then on the organizational meeting in on May 6th, we would get the board review whether we want to do the whole board or if we want to do just a committee of the board. I don't know what's been done recently. I mean, we used to, years ago when I was on before, we did the whole board, but it's not necessary. The open book on May 8th, though, he said he can do that all by himself. He doesn't need to have board members there for that. And that's just where people can come in and they can compare their house to somebody else's, their assessments to other people's assessments that they think are equal.
And is that done here?
It is done here.
And we have to have that posted how much in advance?
Well, the open book can be posted with the board of review, and the board of review has to be 15 days before the date you have it. So any questions on that?
But somebody has to go for the training, right?
Somebody has to go for the training, that's right. But we would have time with that, because it's not like online training, it's not a class that you have to attend. It's an online training, so you could do that after May 6th, once we decide
Once we
who's
decide
who's
what
going to be
committee.
on the committee, yes.
Okay. Do we have to do any, take any action other than that?
I don't think we have to now, we have to have any action. That's more informational. Are we done with that one? Okay. Number 18, discussion and action on incoming mail, telephone messages, and emails. And right now, like I mentioned before, the post office is holding our mail for the village. The answering machine is answering messages until it fills up. Today, we were here to change the lock. Officer Benish looked at the answering machine and said there was 35 messages on it at that time. So, there's been nobody look at email or anything like that. So,
Is there anything we can do? I mean, is there any way to have access to the phone, or is that locked down too? And I'm just wondering to be able to,
well, we have to get the village back in business. We
I
cannot,
don't know, and,
we cannot ignore that stuff.
right, so, Paul, can I ask you a question? Because you've gone through having a clerk who's gone when you came on, right? And was it locked down? Like, did you guys have that kind of a lockdown situation, and yet, how do you maintain the day-to-day, I don't know what the situation was.
The office was locked down that day. I had turned in my key, and it was locked down for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And Johnson Block got all of the stuff that they needed, and then when they got all the stuff they needed, and they were satisfied, then I got my key back. And then I got all the access to the computer and the phone, and I answered emails and I returned phone calls.
Yeah.
How did you get access to the computer?
IT firm that was at the, I can't remember at the time now, because that's been, God, how long has that been? Yeah, that they came in, Johnson Block helped with that too, but we had our IT at that time. So yeah, no, it was,
Were
yeah.
they doing a forensic, or were they just doing,
No, we did all, yeah, we all did. Yeah, we
But was it a forensic audit or just a regular
Yeah,
audit?
we went through it. Yeah,
Yeah, what?
it was a forensic audit.
Okay.
No, it wasn't huge, they just did, because with forensic audit, you can pick what you want on it, how much you want to do,
Right.
so, yeah. It was, you could probably say it's like a 2/3, I guess, of a forensic audit. So, but it included water, a little bit of water and sewer too. But, yeah.
Well, we got a quote that says forensic audit up to 60 days. Are we going to leave the office closed for 60 days?
I don't think we can do that.
no, we can't. No. I mean, we have to get to the payroll stuff,
Yeah, that's, you have to ask them, how do they get their information? How long, they can get their information, but what's gonna take them time is to go through it. They know what they're gonna come in and basically look for. So, but you can pull information, it just takes time to go through it. And that's what you need to find out.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things we could look into if we're gonna delay that vote, just, if they can get in and get their stuff quick, and get out, and get in there, the new clerks can get things running again, while they're in the background doing their thing. I don't know if that's possible, but maybe if you're gonna look into that, maybe that's one of the questions you could ask them.
Yeah, well, definitely will.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of the lockdown, right, is so that nobody goes in there to do anything. I mean, I would think you'd be able to go in there and just hit the button on the answering machine and then get all the messages. I think generally it was the president that oversaw things when a clerk got fired or was left abruptly.
Well, that's what I was getting at, is that you can't leave those messages unanswered for weeks.
No.
And, you know, we don't know what those messages consist of. There may be somebody who wants to, you know, buy a business here and he needs something, and we need to be on top of that.
And I know we put our water bill in this Dropbox, so I'm assuming there's other ones too.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be full pretty soon, so.
Okay, we just have to keep getting plowing forward to get accurate information of how we go forward. But that was helpful, Paul, because it sounded like it was only a week and a half to retrieve what they needed, and then,
Why just wouldn't your computer, the
Yeah,
computer company come in and give you guys all the access you need, or email, or?
but not to, you know, the accounts and things, because that's what we need to have looked at.
Yeah, but this is a little more, for lack of, I don't want to say serious, but I guess I'm going to use that word, because the clerk was actually being monitored before things went down. In this situation,
The IT people that I talked with, Jason, he indicated that he did not have all the passwords, that he thought he could change the password on the computer so it couldn't be remotely accessed. And that was about all that I got from him. So unless we can find the passwords, we aren't going to get into the various accounts.
yeah, and that's just, it wasn't that way before.
But that's where we're at. So I personally don't want to leave business go that long.
When you spoke to Kate, did she have any access? Did she share that she had access to things?
She said she didn't know anything.
Okay.
Incompetence.
All right,
Well, we have to take care of it.
yeah. So I'm wondering, because even the mail, just opening the mail, I'm probably needing to find out from the bank, can we make deposits into these accounts? That's what concerns me about freezing accounts where, you know,
Well, typically, when you have a two-signature system, the bank will let deposits go through with one signature. But it's usually the clerk's.
right, but we don't have one, so.
So I would have to check with them and see if they'll let that happen or not.
Is that all right to follow up with them?
Yeah. Mhm.
Just because, you know, the other thing we need to see if there's keys in the drawer. Because like the lockbox for the payments that we all drop in. So, is this something that if we have specific items, we need the phone, or we need to check the messages on the phone, we need to open the desk and look for a set of keys, with the deputy sheriff there observing that that's all we're touching? I mean, is that, can we get the phone on the outside of the office and then we don't have to keep opening the door? You know what I mean? It's like, we need these things. We need the laptops.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you're the board, you're the ones that locked it down,
Right, exactly. But
so
we never-
you can do whatever you want.
Well, but we want to make sure that we're making the best choice for what it is we're trying to be honest about. Like that we're not doing it slipshod, that we really are trying to maintain integrity about chain of custody of it.
But you don't want to take it to a point where you're not doing anything.
That's right.
You've got
Absolutely.
to put something in motion so that you're here and we are trusting you to do the best that you can. And so it's better to at least try to do something instead of just watching for worrying about somebody else finding fault.
Absolutely.
Could really be a quick call to Bill Cole, the attorney, or whoever the attorney will be, to get some direction.
And maybe that is the next step. What do you?
Yeah, I would say that, that we could contact the sheriff's department and we could get a deputy here and watch somebody go into the office and do what we need to do. We just have to make a list of it so that we're efficient and get it all done as quickly as we can, and then get out again. But I don't know if it's possible to move the telephone out. And then do you want to? Because this building isn't as secure as the office is.
Are you concerned about the phone as much as we are the accounts? I mean, is that something that you'd be worried about, the phone so much, or?
Well,
Because the only
I'm
people
not,
that
but
would be
that's-
coming in would be people who have access to the code. So we're talking Rich and Troy.
yeah.
And I'm not worried about that. But it would be something where we could answer the phone. leave a message.
And then there's emails, we have to check any emails that we won't be able to until we can get to the computers.
Well, that's the tough part. That one we won't.
From home, I can access my work.
But the phone is at least something.
Should I contact Bill Cole and ask about, some of the stuff like legally wise? Or are we concerned about that at all, or?
Well, we certainly can, we should get advice, but just remember that all the time you're talking to them, it's costing us money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
$400 an hour or thereabouts, so.
Well, 273, yeah.
Well, do we have to have a motion to do that, to go forward to ask about that, or?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we definitely would have to do that.
So that we can get, so I motion that Joe reaches out to the new company, Axley, to get some guidance on how we access the phone and the mail, and I think email's on route because it's not on ours. But so the phone and the mail, and can we process that stuff as soon as possible? Is that a second?
Is that the motion?
I think.
Okay.
That's what we're asking about, right?
Let me read it back so I make sure that I got it. So, Mecca Raven has made a motion to contact the village attorney, looking for the name of it again.
Axel.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Actually, Brindleson, LLP, our village attorney now, and get advice on how to move forward with our phone system and our mail. Anything else besides that? Is that all that we had?
Should I check about day-to-day operations as well?
You guys is there?
You guys
Just
have
the lockdown office?
Day-to-day operations, all right?
Is that all right of a motion?
That's the one you want to make, that's it. All right?
And I'll second it. Let's give it
Don's
a
going to second it. Further discussion?
No, yeah.
Matthew, what do you think about that?
I don't think it's a bad thing to have Joe contact Bill Cole.
Okay?
I'm not sure we'll have Bill, but Axley.
Or
Okay.
actually,
Okay. Good.
All right?
Sorry, it's just
The village attorney.
your experience is greatly appreciated.
All right, we've got the motion and the second. I'm hearing no further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now, if the advice that we get that we can go ahead and do that, are we going to go ahead and do that?
Yes, so how do we go about doing that?
Make a motion for that, too.
So I'll make a motion that the advice we received from our new attorney at Axley Brynelson LLP regarding accessing phone, day-to-day operations, phone and mail, that we will take action immediately. Is that through, Steve? I mean, who's?
Sure, I can do it.
Through, that will take action immediately for our C. Wilkinson, President Pro Temp, to do the things we've been guided to do, following the instructions of the attorney.
I'll second.
All right, we've got the motion by Becker Raven, second by Hipsky, to take the advice of our attorney from Axley Brimmelson and move forward with, why don't you say it again?
Well, I'm just gonna pick up where you're at, to have Steve Wilkinson, President Pro Temp, to, gain access to the items and to the day-to-day operations that we've been given instruction to do immediately.
Okay. All right, we got it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Number 19, discussion and action regarding ways to inform the village residents of village activities.
So maybe I can start this off. I don't know, is anyone aware of any social media pages the village has, or any ways that we?
They have Facebook.
They have a Facebook.
Who ran the Facebook?
I'm thinking. My guess is the clerk. Yeah. Because it's pretty much the same as the web.
So I don't know anything about Facebook. Is it possible to run that without
Do you need a
the?
page?
She'd have
She probably has like
password.
a-
You would need her password.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
she
what
probably
I
has
was
to
thinking
account.
probably.
She could hand off administrator rights to someone else and then pull herself out of that.
Yeah.
But
Well, you could, even if you got access to the computer and got the village's email address, you could just change the password, send the code to the village email address and change it that way.
that's if she used the village's email address to create the account and not her own, and then created a secondary business account.
That's ingenious.
I mean, that's how, for my job, I have my account and then I just simply move over to the other account to post things. And I'm the administrator, I can assign people different roles so that they can post things as the village or whatever entity it is. I don't know how it was set up, so I can't say, maybe as I think Stacy said, maybe there is a specific village email account that's tied to it and only to it. But if it's a secondary account to her personal account, she'll have to hand that off to someone.
How many email accounts does the village clerk have? I know at least two.
I couldn't hear the question.
How many email accounts does the village clerk have? I know of at least two. The one she always used, and then there was a villarena345@gmail.com that she used too, because she sent me some information off of that one at one time, which I think was probably a mistake on her part, to send it to me with that email address.
Okay. So how, it still doesn't answer how we're gonna get control of that, or do we create a new one?
You definitely create a new one. It's getting people to
To
actually
read the right
migrate
one.
over to it.
Yeah. So-
I mean, you're gonna have to gain access to that email address anyways. So I guess I would start with that.
Eventually, but, we can't do it. We may not be able to do that quickly, so.
Do we have a current way to contact the game for some of these items, or is there a known, is that something we can do or no? Is that how it works?
I don't know that might.
It wouldn't hurt to ask.
Well,
Ask who?
it would,
I mean,
it's my opinion that she won't help us at all.
Okay. So it's not
It
worth
may,
trying
it
to
may
reach out.
take, if she's got passwords not giving off, it may take a notice from the village attorney saying, we need those passwords.
Like, is there any low impact way I could, like, does she have an email that I could email, just ask for these things without going through to the town? I don't know.
I don't have any contact information for her at all.
Okay. So it could just be as simple as, I asked and she, hands it over and then that's that, But I don't know how to get in contact with her, so I don't know.
Her contact information is probably in the village office. Her personnel file.
Probably is.
Well, probably a cell phone. I might have a cell phone for her.
Well, that'd be something.
Are you comfortable reaching out? I'm not comfortable.
That's
She's
fine.
never
I could reach
given
out,
me
yeah,
any information before, so I don't think she would.
if you'd be willing to share that, I could reach out and see what she'd be willing to, share.
Do you need to motion for that?
I don't
or is
think
it
so.
just- I will get that to you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, good thinking. I'm wondering, because we don't, I'd like us to be using the signboards that are out there, I don't, that coming in town, that maybe we, I don't know, we certainly can use it to advertise when a meeting's gonna be, so people know.
Yeah, if I would have thought of it, I would have had Rich do
Yeah,
that. I didn't think
but
of-
maybe we should be going, please, to reach the village, call once we know,
Yeah.
please do not email, call, just so that we're getting that word out a little bit when people are driving by. I'm wondering also if, one of the things that I know the act has used to get people out, to get the vote out, to, get information out about ACT, is we've papered the village. And it might be a way that we get information about, we are, we have the office, locked down right now, but we are not locked out from you. We're trying to build this back.
Facebook,
Pardon me?
Facebook. Who's ever running the Facebook?
I know, but we don't know that.
I do it for ads, I can post stuff there.
Yes. for
And I do
ads.
for
I'm sorry, I thought
I
you
do
were
like
village.
contacts.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
But for
So we
ads, I
can
do
put that
it on
information on
Facebook.
the.
Yeah, no, that would
newsletter as
be-
well.
And I try to put all the meetings.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking of others, how we get the word out to just everybody.
Everybody that doesn't have
this is
email,
what's going
right.
on, and so what do we think about that?
Yeah, I think it's, anything we can do to kind of be transparent, because we are doing a lot of things, and people are gonna have questions, so the more we can,
Yeah, if anybody's trying to get a license for something, dog license or whatever, all of that's on hold. So what's the best way that we can create a flyer like that to get out? We can coordinate volunteers to get the paper delivered, but how do we pull that together? What's the proper way? Do we have to wait until the regular meeting to approve whatever we come up with?
Oh, I don't think so.
Being this is done through the village, isn't it possible to use the postal service? Let the post office deliver it.
Yeah, it's too expensive,
Yeah.
way too expensive. And it's something that we may have to do a few more times because as things, as we're trying to get people to know. Not a bad idea, but it's not like we have a whole bunch of extra cash just laying around to pay postage. So I kind of feel like, let's save that, what is it, 60 cents or something?
75, I think.
So, it's way.
I bought my forever stamps 2 years ago, so I don't have stamps in my forever, so I don't get there now.
You also have to know the name of every resident, which
To get the word out on what's going on.
But
We'd have to be a
Becca,
little
you
more
would
careful
need
with
somebody
everyone.
here for them to ask their questions out or something. The issue is to get somebody in the office so that you can,
Absolutely, but also to get the word out that we're working on that, you know? Because I think that's part of what, you know, the residents are like, we don't even know what's going on. You know, showing the effort of trying to get some information to you. Okay.
Well, I would make a motion that we, at least temporarily, allow the ACT Facebook page to post information about the village activities.
Okay.
Does that cover it?
Yep, and sometimes I don't know, I like the last emergency meeting, I didn't know about it, obviously, so like if, as soon as you can let me know, that would be possible, that would be great.
Wait a second.
Okay, a motion and a second to allow the ACT Facebook, or like ACT group post village, what term did I use? Activities on their Facebook page. Second by Joe. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
I try to do it anyways. I've got to make on it.
But we still want to try to get hold of it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
ASAP.
Number 20 is discussion and action on purchasing video streaming equipment such as a meeting owl and programs such as Zoom for use in collaboration with live streaming to facilitate transparency, meeting access, engagement, and recording.
So this was brought up, I know, there's other organizations that use it's kind of an intelligent web camera called Meeting Owl. I don't know if it's something that we would be interested in using or not. I know that we do have, like ACT uses the video camera that's recorded. I don't know if we want to go a step further with this device. It's kind of like has some smart features built into it so that it kind of brings people more into the conversation. It's more than just a web camera. It's more like interactive for people that are online kind of going in. It is a little bit expensive. I think it's a little over $1,000, so there's a price to that. I just don't know what we're going to do as far as transparency and trying to get people to come to the online version of this.
is that Wi-Fi?
It's a webcam. It would basically you have the same way as like if you had a webcam on your laptop. It just plugs in like USB.
Yeah, but
So
you could get cameras that are Wi-Fi enabled instead of what you're talking about. The reason I ask is if we have to hardwire it, that's going to be an additional expense. So wherever you're going to put it,
So it would go like right into the table, and then you hook up with your laptop, and it would act as if you were on a Zoom, and then your webcam it would have like a 360 camera on it, so it would see everybody.
okay.
Does that make sense?
So we would need, we would then theoretically need another laptop. Because if someone's sitting here and using their laptop, they're not managing the camera, or the clerk would, or whatever. Or am I thinking, because like with Teams or Zoom,
Right.
you're in control of your camera. It's on your computer. So if I'm doing 1,000 different things and I close off of that by accident, then what?
Then you would have the session, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So it'd be running in the background.
So we would almost need something that's standalone so that no one messes with it accidentally.
You certainly could, or you could just run it in the background. I mean, once you have it up, you just minimize it, and it's just, I guess, like to your point, if you have 100 tabs open, and you're sifting through it, there's a possibility, you got something.
Close it.
My concern about having it up in the background is what if a la Zoom or Teams, someone asks a question. You're not going to notice that, or you might not notice that, and then you move on from it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, this would allow questions from the people receiving the Zoom.
I mean, this would, in and of itself, if you did host like some kind of Zoom or Google Meet or something, it would be as if you had like someone remote in as part of the meeting. So you could have it so they couldn't talk at all, they would just, be attending, like in the audience.
Right.
That's what we would want.
Right. That would be one option.
Not even during public comment?
Yeah.
I mean, you could open it up during public comment.
Are you real clear on how it works, or do we need to get more information on how it specifically works? Because I do want it to be able to be that if we're gonna use it, that why we want the accessibility is also so that people can put in for public comment and, but for, generally,
Right.
it wouldn't be like how it is tonight, how we've been able to say, hey, you have some information, it just would be too hard to manage that.
You could have like an open chat on the side, so at the public comment section, do like a chat or something. I mean, there's
But
one.
somebody would have to manage it
You're right,
too,
yeah,
which would be the clerk, I would assume, but I think we just have to make sure how feasible it is, manageable it is.
Well, my only issue with doing anything is that we don't have any money to spend.
That's not, it is, yeah, that's right.
Well, I was just gonna ask, does it have like an or this or other systems? I know with Teams you can get the closed captioning. I believe one of the reasons why the previous boards went away from using the video camera is that there were ADA concerns. If we have people who are hard of hearing, closed captioning would benefit them to be able to read what's actually being talked about.
I don't think this specifically, but if that's built in, but this would be like just a web camera that the service you use, like a Google Meet or something, that could have closed captions that it could be live.
It's just a really inclusive
Right.
camera
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah,
that way.
yeah.
I think to Matthew's point, I think it's a law that's got to have closed caption if it's a public meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be excellent for us to have that.
Yep.
uh,
And like
So
I
is
said,
that extra cost?
No, so, but that would be part of like,
That
so
would
be a
be
webcam.
that.
So where you would host
With the
like,
service?
the service, possibly, yes.
Okay, so we have to investigate
Yeah,
that.
I could, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about the law on that. I think whatever service you use, Zoom, or if you put it on YouTube, would provide the closed captioning just inherently. But the school district uses one, and they use it with YouTube. The Village of Spring Green uses one, and they use it with Zoom. And the Village of Lone Rock uses one, and they use it with Zoom.
Right, I guess if it's a cost concern, there's an initial cost, then you wouldn't have to, there's no subscription fee once you go in it. The cost going forward would just be, if you do like a Zoom or Google Meet or, Teams, there might be a cost in having that monthly, so that would be the only cost associated with it.
Can you look into that?
Right.
And you want to reach out to one of those villages and talk to the clerk probably, and who sets it up.
With the school, like you were saying, Brian Cry, the business office, I see him turning the video on and off all the time, so he's pretty in-depth at the high school.
Okay.
You just might be a
Just-
good person
Yeah.
to see how we're
And
doing
you should
it.
get a hold of him during the daytime.
Sure, but if I have contact information,
Yeah, you can look right on the school website for Brian Cry, he's the business manager.
It's be quiet, RV.
Yeah, it's like B, I can give it to you, his info, I was just looking it up, because I know you're
I mean,
too.
I think it's something, yeah, I think it's something. I can contact them.
But just for,
Sure.
If you've watched this, you've seen like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes up to the laptop, turns on.
Maybe that's fancy.
So, but remember that we don't have any money to spend except for the credit card that Public Works has.
Okay, so you
That's the only thing that we can spend money on.
would you want to delay this until we have more access to our accounts?
Well, I would think so, but
Yeah.
Okay.
but so, so maybe we lay this on the table, I'll make a motion to lay it on the table until
Please.
a later date, but you are going to do a whole bunch of research on it,
You bet.
so we have more information.
Okay.
Do you need to be more clear about that? Let's
Do I need a
make a
second?
motion to lay the video streaming equipment and the Zoom program on the table until a later date, when we have access to village accounts and laptops, so we can, forward with that.
all right.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. And it takes us back to item number 21, which is public comment again. So do we have any more public comment?
I
Yes.
do have a question, and it kind of really doesn't go with what was talked about tonight. But May 18th is opening day for the ACES. We do need to be on the agenda for next month. We should be applying for our liquor license. And I need to know if you will charge for the concession.
Well, we can't act on any of that tonight.
Okay, but if I can,
But I'll make sure that you get on the agenda for
Okay.
May 6th, I'm sorry, May 6th.
And so that was concessions?
Concessions and liquor license.
Yep.
It's to waive the fee for the concessions.
So park, yeah.
Is that correct?
correct.
And then they need a liquor
So that
license.
everyone understands.
All right, any other comment, public comment? Hearing no public comment, then,
I make a motion to adjourn?
all right, motion by Becker Raven,
I'll second it, third it, fourth it.
all right, seconded by Don. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Meeting is adjourned at 9:08.
Thank you, everyone.